Okay. So first, before we use it, I'll go over some warnings so you guys know what's going on. So for these guys right here, so when you're on the computer and you're trying to move it, sometimes there'd be a warning, let's say red, and it's like, oh no, what's going on, and you can't move. Usually, it's these things. First, it's probably air. Make sure air is on. Make sure everything's plugged in. And then another thing, these buttons, if they're pushed in, you cannot move it in that direction at all. So make sure both buttons, they have one right here for Y, one over there for X. And also, these are sensors. If this thing right here goes all the way over and presses that button, then you have to restart, just turn off the computer, turn it back on, and then you can move it. Because once it hits here, it stops completely. And same thing right here. If this thing bumps that, it stops. Same thing all the way over there. And same thing all the way there. So just make sure your surroundings, and when you place metal down on here, make sure it's not close here or else it'll hit that. Make sure it's farther away, a few inches. Anyways, so those are those warnings for moving. And then other warnings is for this guy. So sometimes there's not even a warning. So like when you press, the button to arc, and arc just means when you turn it on, it's like, tss, So it's usually this thing, so you have to take it apart. You guys probably know how to take it apart. There's this nozzle, which is fine. You usually want to change this if you want a cleaner cut. Same thing for the inside. I'll just take this apart for you guys. Okay, so there's a few parts. There is this part, that part, and these two. These are two separate parts, but I'm just going to leave them together because they don't really matter. You just want to change this, for a more cleaner cut. This thing right here, you have to change it more regularly than you have to do on the handheld, because see that little hole right there? If that hole is kind of deep, like not even that deep, like when this hole is just, zoom, there we go. So usually on the handheld one, this entire chunk could potentially be knocked off, and it'll still work for a bit, and then it'll just, get destroyed. But when this hole gets big enough, then it's done. Then you can't use it. This thing right here, make sure you use the one with this type of tip. If you use the round one, that wouldn't really work that well, and I haven't figured that out. So maybe in the future when you guys use this a ton, you guys can figure that out. But yeah, dude, there you go. It's this guy. Make sure the amperage on that guy all the way back there, make sure the amperage is 45. But yeah, so those are the parts. That's how you know that thing is working. So if that thing's not working, it's one of these. It's usually the middle one. And also sometimes this thing gets water in it. And the more water this has, the more disgusting your cut's gonna look, and it's gonna be really, really loud because it's gonna be burning water and not air. What's another warning? There's ground. Make sure power's on for this guy right here. This guy needs power and air. It's gonna be 2 years, so you guys will probably need to draw these up and recut them just so we have more. It's probably what you guys might do. That's a project actually that you guys could do to practice. And yeah. Any other warnings? Let's see. If there's any other warning that you have no idea of, check this book. This book right here. Good book. Has everything you need in there. That's how I learned. Trying to think. Okay. Sometimes this rail gets dirty, or maybe the what is this called? The lube. It gets runned out and it gets very jaggedy, and it starts to shake a little bit, and your cuts look like sharp edges. If that's so, clean it up, move it, squirt the lube in there, move it up and down, back to back, just to get this stuff going. Sometimes stuff is down here, so you have to pick that up or clean it, whatever. This railing sometimes gets metal or bent or dirt in it, whatever. But make sure that's clean. Yeah. And next, tell you guys about the cutting speed.